Welcome to Rob and Tony's Cinematic Adventure. I'm Rob Wilson.
And I am Tony the Quano.
So, Tony, let's talk about Keanu Reeves. We haven't talked about him in a while.
Yeah, I was with Tim Robinson with Point Break, I think.
Yes, I think that was the last time we talked about Keanu. I mean, other than the millions of times that we've mentioned Speed. But
right, and we've referenced Point Break since then.
Yeah.
You know, we referenced Bill and Ted. We have not mentioned A Walk in the Clouds.
We have not mentioned A Walk in the Clouds. Which, funny thing, A Walk in the Clouds, I watched that movie for the first time a few years ago, and it's really not as bad as I thought it would be.
Well, you know, you're a little older. I mean,
Keanu Reeves in a vineyard?
More sensitive now. Yeah, Keanu Reeves in a vineyard.
I mean,
you know. That is not tonight's episode.
No, that is not the episode that we're talking about this time. The episode we are talking about today is John Wick, the movie that brought Keanu Reeves yet another resurgence.
Yes, another resurgence.
In the cultural zeitgeist.
It's like funny now because like you have the John Wick series. Now you kind of have these nice, cute memes of him. Mm-hmm. And then he has his voice work now.
Yeah.
He's comfortably playing, you know, he's launched himself into that like pantheon. I mean, granted, he's a contract killer in this movie, but otherwise, as a real life Keanu, seems like such a nice guy. And he's in that pantheon of guys like, you know, Crocodile Hunter, Bob Ross, Mr. Rogers, just wholesome people.
Oh, yeah. And he's in a band.
He is in a band.
Dog Star. On my 40th birthday, a buddy of mine took me to a Dog Star concert because they happened to be playing in the area on my birthday. So we went, and it was awesome. You know, we were in like the fifth row, but we weren't really sitting in the fifth row. We were more standing in the aisle up at about third row. The whole time. And it's great before at the beginning of the show. So the people that had like the $3,000-$4,000 seats, like right up, like front and center, were all crowded around the stage, like standing up, like, leaning up on the stage and stuff. And so we tried sneaking up there, but security stopped us and sent us back to our seats. But
they always do that, right?
But after the show, they came out for an encore. And once they did that, then that same security guard came up to us and he's like, "Hey, you can go up there now." So we went up there, and that encore wasn't just another song or two, like most encores are. They did almost an entire show again.
There you go.
Like, it was a good 6 or 7 songs at least.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I was there like 3 feet away from Keanu Reeves. It was awesome.
You're there,
and
with
of course,
his sweat.
And of course, my buddy and I were wearing our Wild Stallions t-shirts.
Very nice.
But no, he was extremely humble at that show. Like, he was playing his bass. He was sort of out to the side, trying not to bring attention to himself, right? Because he was trying to get the band to get all the glory, right? He wasn't trying to showboat or anything like that.
Right.
He was just sitting there, he's playing, like just looking down, concentrating on playing. And even just at the end of the show, when they were done playing, you know, he, you know, just unplugged his bass, looked out at the crowd, gave a little wave, and walked off stage.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
I've heard he's a cool dude.
Yeah. And I mean, that morning, he was actually at a bookstore in the Kansas City area.
Okay.
And he was signing his new book in the basement where nobody knew he was there. He told the employees of the bookstore that he was going to be there like a week earlier, right? So that they could prepare for him. But he made them promise not to tell anyone that he was going to be there. So he's down in the basement signing all these books and comes back up. There's one woman in the store, like one customer. So she's just there shopping for her books, and up walks Keanu Reeves. You know, so he called her over, you know, took some pictures with her. And then he would not let them sell the books for more than the cover price.
Right. Yeah. Good.
Because it's like, he's just that nice of a dude.
Which, you know, I think even John Wick is a man to be reckoned with.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But he also seems like he's a nice dude.
Yeah. I mean, he's a badass with a heart of gold. He's a badass with a heart of gold.
Respect in this community.
Yes.
See how people pay deference to him compared to others in this universe.
Yes. I mean, most of the people, when they hear his name, their only response is, "Oh."
If you're not familiar with John Wick, which I would think would be kind of hard because, I mean, it's a whole property now, but it's really one of the few original things that's really kind of taken place in the last, 15 years.
Yeah. And
right.
I mean,
the movie's 10 years old.
And it's one of those action movies that's like so big that now there's so many clones of it. Like, oh yeah, you had Die Hard, and then every action movie from then on had to be Die Hard on a whatever. Die Hard on a plane, Die Hard on a boat, Die Hard on a train, whatever. And then you have
Closet.
Then you had Taken. So then every action movie had to be Taken on a train, Taken on a whatever. And now you got John Wick.
Liam Neeson.
Yeah, most of those starred Liam Neeson. Maybe they were clones of Liam Neeson. But now you have John Wick, and every action movie has to be John Wick on a boat, John Wick in a building.
Now, not all of these star Keanu Reeves.
No.
Except the 3 John Wick sequels.
Yeah, the 3 John Wick sequels. So 4 John Wick movies total, and they're working on a 5th one.
Yes. And he's going to be in the
ballerina.
In the ballerina, which is in the universe. But he's going to, I think, be a smaller role.
Yeah.
Within
I think he's more or less a glorified cameo in that, if I understand right.
Yeah, because I think it's kind of like a prequel to it takes place before the first John Wick. So, he's obviously within that universe, so it would potentially make sense. Well, no,
it takes place, I think it takes place between, like, the first and second John Wicks or something like that. I think it's, it takes place, like, somewhere right in the middle of the series,
gotcha.
I think.
Well,
I read something about that a few weeks ago.
It's coming out later this year, and we'll find out all about it at that point.
Yep.
John Wick, originally, the first one was kind of a cult hit. It was kind of a slightly modest box office success and not really a major release, but it received good reviews at the time, and the people that saw it loved it. And then it gained new life again when it kind of came out a few months later on Blu-ray and streaming, and it just has become a massive success as a franchise, right?
Yep.
So, and rightfully so, because I didn't see it in theaters, and I just heard it was good. I heard people comparing it to certain kind of French, like, new wave movies of the late 60s, early 70s. And it's like, it's another renaissance for Keanu.
The Keanu-sance.
And it's a great role for him, kind of like how Neo was a great role for him, because he doesn't need a bunch of nuance or range to pull it off. But he brings exactly what is needed for this role. And he just completely makes John Wick his own.
Yeah. And speaking of Neo, this movie is directed by his stunt double from Matrix.
That's right.
Chad Stahelski. And wasn't he also the stunt coordinator for the Matrix movies?
I want to say yes. I lost some of my... There it is. I had some of my notes up, and I lost a few of them, and that's okay. Oh, he also did Keanu... Oh, I didn't realize this. He did Keanu's stunt work on The Replacements. Oh, we did mention Keanu recently, The Replacements, when we did the Gene Hackman tribute for Crimson Tide.
Yes.
Yes, but he was also, stunt coordinator, not for The Matrix, but for the sequels, Reloaded and Revolutions.
Okay.
Also, Brandon Lee's stunt double. He got lucky on that one.
Yeah.
Not to make light of that, but yes.
Maybe we should do The Crow sometime.
Maybe we should do The Crow sometime. I've never seen The Crow.
I saw it years ago. I've only seen it once.
Oh, well, here we go. We've talked about doing this one before. He was the stunt coordinator for Beer Fest.
Well, then maybe we have to do it. I mean, we were already planning on doing it one of these days, but...
I just think it's funny because, the tank, that was all him.
Yep.
Yeah. But he hasn't actually acted in many roles himself. But he did, direct all the John Wick sequels. And he's, I guess, a producer on Ballerina. Technically titled From the World of John Wick.
Yes.
Ballerina.
Yes. From the World of John Wick, Ballerina.
Anyway, again, so jumping back towards the movie. Yeah, I didn't catch it until it was on Blu-ray. Because I just bought it straight up, I believe. And I figured, what the heck. I loved it.
I didn't just buy it straight up. I did not see it in the theater. I heard great things about it, and so I Redboxed it.
There you go. Okay.
I got it from Redbox, and I watched it, and then I bought it because I loved it.
It's a hard movie not to love.
Yeah.
Because it's so well done.
And what's crazy is, as much as I loved this movie, when I saw it, when John Wick 2 came out, I didn't see that right away. I didn't see that one until it was out on Blu-ray.
I did the same
In fact, I didn't see John Wick 2, which granted, I think it had just recently come out at the time. But until I was in the police academy and some friends of mine and I watched it one night.
I actually haven't seen a single John Wick movie at the theater, which I am sad about because I'm definitely favor trying to see movies in the theater. Just timing has not worked out very well, and I missed it at the theaters, all 4 of them.
I saw 3 and 4 in the theater.
Okay. Now, they said they have announced now they officially announced John Wick 5.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully I can actually catch that one when it gets released into the cinema.
Hopefully. Because it is totally different seeing it in the theater than it is at home.
They're such beautifully shot movies.
Yes, they are.
And the sound, just all the visuals, it's a complete package.
Mm-hmm. And it's just the world that it created.
Yes. So what we have not really said here is that we're going to be doing the whole John Wick saga. So we will be doing John Wick this week and John Wick Chapter 2 next week. And then we'll take a hiatus for a while. And we'll come back with Chapter 3 and Chapter 4.
Yeah. Eventually, we don't know when yet, but yeah. So we'll do the first 2 now, and then we'll do 3 and 4 later.
But so, just to preface that before we start talking about the world building, because right away they give you the small pieces of what this world is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We'll jump into it and really more of that as we unfold the plot in the story. But yeah, we get little pieces here and there. And you get the sense that even though this movie, the way it ends, it could have just been, if it wasn't well received, that's all they need to do because it wraps itself up.
Yeah.
But then they leave enough out there that, like, okay, well, we're laying the groundwork for something. If it's a hit, we can continue to expand upon that. And that's what they've done.
Yeah. And they did a great job of it.
They did a great job of it. There's even been, a TV series expanded out of it.
Yep.
And it's given some, not just Keanu, but other actors, kind of other really a second or third very recognizable role.
Yeah.
Ian McShane and Lance Reddick in particular.
Yeah. I mean, Ian McShane is phenomenal in this movie. And Lance Reddick is absolutely just amazing in this movie.
They're both perfectly cast.
Yes, they are.
And then the other roles.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and we also had Willem Dafoe in this one.
Right, yes.
Right?
Yeah, it feels like each one has another kind of veteran actor that may not be in the other movies, but is just perfect. Like you said, Willem Dafoe, we have in this one, right? There's Halle Berry's in one of the other ones, right?
In the third one. And this movie gives John Leguizamo work.
Yes. No. Well, that was the next one to get to because he's in a couple of them, right? And John Leguizamo is actually really well suited for this particular role.
He is. He really is.
It's not like in The Happening we're just waiting for the plants to 86 him. Yeah. No, like you like his character well enough within this one. Now, the one actor, I wish we could get more about his character, right? And maybe we'll launch him now or later. I don't know. But David Patrick Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very small, 2 brief scenes, essentially.
Yeah.
I would love a little bit more about his character, and we don't really get his character in the other movies. But he's a perfect addition to this universe, to this world.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I mean, assassins need somebody to clean up after them. It's brilliant.
What better way than a gang leader from the Warriors? Or Well, remember in Commando when Arnold let him go?
Yep.
Maybe he survived.
Maybe this is a sequel to Commando.
One of Arnold's greatest one-liners. I mean,
let off some steam, Bennett.
Anyway. Yeah, no, it's kind of like how Quentin Tarantino can find like the right veteran actor that maybe kind of forgotten about a little bit.
Yeah.
And put him or her in the right spot. This series has done that as well.
Yeah. I mean, then,
what I've called William Dafoe forgotten by that point.
No, but I mean, it does have Dean Winters in it.
Yes.
And he's become well known in the past several years as Mayhem from the Allstate commercials. But
which I guess they had kind of started right around that time, and it's like, oh wait, that's him. Because Mayhem, the campaign was launched in April 2010. Yeah, and it's kind of funny,
but I always, every time I see him, I can't help but think about Rescue Me because he was in that show.
I don't know why, but I was going to say Dane Cook. But But yes, he was in Rescue Me also.
And then you got Adrienne Palicki.
Yes.
Who I first saw her in Smallville, in that episode of Smallville.
It is the
season 3
finale of season 3.
Mm-hmm. And then she was, of course, had a recurring part in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And she was actually slated to play Wonder Woman when they were going to do a new Wonder Woman TV show. But then they ended up scrapping it.
We also have in a brief role Daniel Bernhardt, who is another famous stuntman / model.
Yep.
And then also a very small roles, Clark Peters, for those of you that are fans of The Wire, playing Lester Freeman. And obviously, Lance Reddick was also in The Wire.
Yeah.
But he has a small role.
Another small but very important role. We have Bridget Moynihan in this movie.
Can't forget her. Yes.
Very small role, but very, very, very important.
Photographs.
Yeah. But, I mean... Then your more major players in here. You got Alfie Allen, Theon Greyjoy from Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. You know, and
also Kevin Nash, retired wrestler.
That's right, Kevin Nash.
And I would also be remiss if I did not mention Andy, who plays the dog Daisy.
Yes,
who might have one of the most important roles in this movie.
Yes, right up there with Bridget Moynihan.
I was going to say she, because the dog is Daisy in the movie.
Yeah,
but Andy makes me think of a boy dog.
Yeah,
so. I don't know.
I mean,
but yeah, the two of them.
Andy could be a boy dog that is playing a girl dog. They do that all the time with dogs. You know? There's plenty of times we'll have a girl dog play a boy dog.
Yeah. I mean, they're probably neutered, or spayed, or, or whatever.
And and someone that I think does phenomenal in this movie, who, like, everything that I've seen him in, he's just been great, is Michael Nyqvist.
Oh, yes. Yes. Can't forget him.
As Vigo Tarasov.
Yes. He was in, the Millennium series, Ghost Protocol.
Yes. The girl with the dragon tattoo.
That's right. He was in kind of all those ones, at least the Swedish series. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, quite the cast. I was thinking about this too. There's similarities in this movie compared to some other movies that we've done very recently, and we've just talked about two of them. With Russians. There's a lot of Russians in this movie.
Yes, there are.
And we did Honor, in which there were
a lot of Russians.
A plethora of Russians.
Yes, a plethora of Russians.
There's a pencil in this movie.
Well, there's
Kindergarten Cop.
There's
not a pencil in this movie. A pencil is referenced.
Yes, a pencil is referenced in this movie. A pencil shows up in the second movie. Spoiler alert.
But there is a pencil in Kindergarten Cop.
Yes.
There's also a drowning by bathroom sink in this movie.
Mm-hmm. And there was
Casino Royale.
Yes.
So, yeah, we have quite a few similarities running along all of these.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Needless to say, I love this movie. I love this series.
I do too.
I've watched them all numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
Even the fourth one. The fourth one I've only seen twice. But, it's the most recent movie.
I think the fourth one all the way through, I've seen like maybe 3 times.
Yeah. Well, they get progressively longer.
Yes, they do. Yeah. The fourth one's like 3 hours long.
It's like 3 hours long, but this one's like 90 minutes.
Yeah. But it's also the fourth one, it's also more recent. And so when I catch it, it's usually on one of the movie channels or something.
Okay.
And so I'll catch it halfway through and watch till the end. Or, I'll catch a quarter of the way in, watch up to like the halfway point or something, and then put something else on, or, whatever.
Yeah, I get that.
Or, if I only have a few minutes, like if I'm watching it before I go to bed or something like that, then, I'll watch till I get tired and go to sleep.
But, they all earned that progressive length, though, I think.
Yes.
This movie is a nice, concise, very tight 90 minutes.
Yes.
The other ones, they earn their longer length because it dives deeper into this universe. It complicates the situation.
It expands the world.
So it's a longer movie, and they're longer, but they don't necessarily feel super long.
No.
So when we hit John Wick 2 next week, that's going to be like about 2 hours, I think. Is what it is. I think that one's clocks in right around 120 minutes.
John Wick 2, we'll get to it when we talk about that movie, but that movie has my favorite character of any of the John Wick movies.
You mean the banker that has John Wick's safety deposit box?
Nope, not that one.
Not him.
Nope. I'm talking about Sommelier. But we'll talk about him when we get to John Wick 2.
We'll get to that line. We'll get to that line. He loves his job.
Yes, he does.
Well, we'll get to that next week too. We'll hold off on that.
Yeah.
I think we should probably just jump into the movie.
I think so too.
Before we spoil John Wick 2.
I think so too. So, as always, spoiler alert, we are going to be talking about this entire movie, beginning, middle, and end. So if you have not seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, then pause the podcast, watch the movie, come back and listen. If you have seen the movie or you just don't mind being spoiled, then keep on listening. But you have been warned, we're going to spoil this movie, and we will try not to spoil John Wick 2 while we're at it.
Why do we spoil John Wick 4?
Okay, fine. Well, in John Wick 4... Just kidding. We're going to try to only talk about the first John Wick in this episode.
Yes. It actually should be pretty easy to do.
Yes. Yes, it should be. So anyway, we start out.
It's nighttime. It's raining.
John Wick, or you see Keanu Reeves, anyway.
We don't know his character name.
We don't know his character's name yet. I mean, it's implied because the movie's named John Wick.
And he's the first person you see.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's raining. It's nighttime. He's in an
SUV.
It just kind of slowly crashes
into like a loading dock kind of thing.
Loading dock area. You can tell it's like docks, a dock area.
Yeah. And so
he kind of crawls out from the driver's side. And he's like bleeding from his belly, and he gets out his phone and he opens up his like camera roll and he starts playing a video, and it's of him and Bridget Moynihan, and she's they're like on like another like dock or pier beach setting, and they're clearly in love.
Yeah, and yeah, so this is where we find out that his name is John.
Yes, because she calls him John in the video.
And then he sort of slumps over.
Yes. It looks like he's going to die because he's bleeding and he's listening to this thing, and just thinking, okay, well, he wants to hear his wife's voice before he dies.
Yeah.
It's kind of how you're led to believe the situation.
Yeah. So then we go into a little flashback.
Right. So,
or at least the only way to really describe it is it would be a flashback.
Yes.
Because we have Keanu Reeves with Bridget Moynihan. And, it's sort of the highlights of their relationship.
And they're happy.
And they're happy.
It's kind of sun-hued, right? Like, it's kind of like that yellow, golden, sun-hued type of lensing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is different from the rest of the movie, which is, there's a lot of more of the gray tone or grayish green.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a very brightly colored movie, so to speak, in terms of, or cheerful. In terms of the tone that way. Yeah.
So then, these cheerful, happy times with the two of them, they take a turn, and we see Bridget Moynihan, Helen, in a hospital bed.
Right. Yeah, you kind of see her, in one of the scenes.
Yes, in one of the scenes
kind
she
of
kind of
collapse.
Yeah.
And you got like the Brooklyn Bridge in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see her in the hospital bed, right? And it's kind of that, what you would kind of think of your traditional montage of kind of going through the sickness.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Keanu at a funeral.
Yeah, she dies. He kisses her, and you get the flat line, and then you get the funeral. And of course, because it's a funeral, it's got to be raining.
Yeah, it's a funeral in a movie, so it has to be raining.
You know what movie did not have? Not movie, TV show did not have a rainy funeral.
Smallville.
I was thinking of Lost.
That too.
And Locke's dad.
That too.
Of course, Locke's dad was not dead.
Well, yeah.
Spoiler alert for Lost. Lance Reddick was also in Lost.
Yes, he was.
But yeah, it's a funeral, and they're wearing black, and the priest, he says his thing, and they show the casket lower into the earth, right? And you see this guy kind of watching a little bit from afar, not like really far back, but far enough back, right, to not be with the main throng of like mourners. And so, they lower it down. John Wick stays there for a little bit, and he walks over because he recognizes this guy. We do too. It's the Green Goblin.
Yes, Willem Dafoe. He's not in his Green Goblin garb.
No.
But he probably has that in his car.
And, and John Wick, he's wondering why he's there. He calls him by his name. His name is Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can tell that they know each other. You're not, at this point, you're not certain what to make of their relationship.
Yeah. It's clear that they know each other, but you're not sure how they know each other.
Yeah. And John Wick is confused about why he's seeing him there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And Marcus just tells him, well, I'm just checking up on an old friend. Right? And so they say their little goodbyes and their pleasantries, and we cut back to basically it's John Wick's house, and they're entertaining all, friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And soon enough, it's just him alone. And now he's sad.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's got this empty house to himself. Yep. It's a big house.
It's a big house.
It's a really nice house.
It's a really nice big house.
In in Jersey somewhere.
A lot of windows. Yeah, somewhere in Jersey. Just across from New York.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely within that northern Jersey kind of New York metro area. So he's left home alone, and then he gets, eventually, he's cleaning up, and there, the doorbell rings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a courier service.
This is, I think they say later, it's about 3 days or so after the funeral.
It's a few days after the funeral?
Yeah, it's a few days after the funeral. I think it's like 3 days after the funeral or something like that.
Oh, you know what? I do. Yeah, they do establish that later.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. He says it specifically.
Yeah.
Right. Good.
So
it's like nighttime though, and he's like doing the dishes, and he gets the doorbell rings.
Yeah. So he goes and answers it, and it's a courier delivering a package for him, and this package is a dog carrier.
Yep, it's a little small dog carrier, right? And there's a beagle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beagle.
There's a beagle puppy in it.
Well, first, John Wynn almost takes this lady's pen. She has to remind him to get the pen back.
Yep.
Which is a good idea
because later we find out what he can do with a pencil. So just imagine what he can do with a pen.
I wonder if she knows what he can do with a pen. And that's why she's like, I know this name.
Mm-hmm.
You killed my brother with a pencil.
No. So he, accepts the gift. So it's not just the puppy. There's also a card.
There's a card. There's a daisy on the front of this.
There's a daisy on the envelope.
So,
or on the, when
I guess
he opens the card,
a
it's on
good
the card.
point to kind of circle back to as we're talking about the house is we do see him wake up the morning of the funeral, right? Mm-hmm. He wakes up alone in their king size bed.
Mm-hmm.
He gets his slippers on. He kind of starts his morning routine,
mm-hmm.
right? He goes to the kitchen, and he had the coffee set up to go all so the night before to make a pot when he wakes up. And there's two coffee mugs, right? His, which is like just a plain like green mug,
mm-hmm.
and hers, which is white and has a daisy on it.
Yeah.
Right. So daisies are obviously her
favorite flower. Yeah.
And so it's a little beagle puppy.
I think in the flashback, I think she had like a daisy bracelet or something like that also that she was wearing.
Yes, that sounds right.
And so anyway, so the card that came with the puppy has a daisy on it. And he opens it up, and it is from his wife, Helen, before she died. And it basically says, you need to not be alone. Here's something so that you won't be alone.
The actual text of the note. John, I'm sorry I can't be there for you, but you still need someone to love. So start with this. because the car doesn't count. I love you, John. This illness has loomed over us for a long time, and now that I found my peace, find yours. Until that day, your best friend Helen. Right? And then Keanu Reeves just turns into a puddle of tears.
Yes. And he lets the dog out, picks it up and notices that it's already got a name. And this puppy's name is Daisy.
This puppy's name is Daisy. So, he gets ready for bed and tries to set up a little bed next to his for, Daisy to sleep on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And he says, we'll go out tomorrow. We'll get you an actual bed. Right?
Yeah. We'll get you some kibble.
But then, and some kibble. And then but instead Daisy just hops up on the bed because she just wants to cuddle with John.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So he puts her back on a little makeshift bed on the floor, and she stays there until the morning when she wakes him up by jumping up on the bed and licking his face, like puppies do.
It's like okay. He walks out first just to go get the newspaper, and the dog runs out, and he's like, wait, and he's like, and he just sees that it's like, oh, that's right. Thankfully, it's already potty trained.
Yes,
apparently.
So the dog went out and it pooped in the grass. Left a nice, perfect little spiral, perfect frozen yogurt-looking poop.
So
he goes inside and pours himself a bowl of cereal. Pours
the Daisy a bowl of cereal.
And this is when he says, "I'll get you some kibble later."
Yes. He even gives Daisy some milk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perfect bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, it's like bran flakes. but
I don't know if we need to be feeding a dog Lucky Charms.
Yeah. But.
And I think that's what John Wick would probably eat anyway.
Yeah.
The bran flakes.
Yep. So then he takes Daisy and he
they go
takes
for a
her
ride.
to the car, and he has a beautiful
69 Mustang.
Beautiful 69 Mustang. And
69. Which has to be in a Keanu movie somehow. Yeah.
Right? 69 dudes. Yeah, so he takes
it to an airfield.
An airfield, yeah. And so here's the question. It never actually shows what he did with Daisy at this point. Is Daisy still in the car with him?
I firmly believe Daisy's in the car with him.
So he's, stunt driving all over this airstrip.
They're having a fantastic day together.
Yeah. And, when they're done, they go to the gas station so he can fill up. And, Daisy's in the passenger seat.
This is actually when we know that, it's New Jersey, because, he's got Jersey plates.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this little gas station kind of in some small town in Jersey somewhere.
Although, what's interesting is he's pumping his own gas in Jersey.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
I call shenanigans. What a glaring oversight.
I know, right?
Everybody knows you can't pump your own gas in Jersey.
Nope. Jersey gas stations are all full service.
You sleep with the fishes if you try that in some towns in Jersey. Anyway, so this I think it's an Escalade that pulls up.
Yeah, an Escalade pulls
and
up.
And these three nicely dressed kind of younger Russians. And
yeah.
One of them says he's going to go in and he's going to get something within the little convenience shop there, right? And it was just other one, this So that guy's a little kind of a larger, more built guy, right? And this more youngish guy who we'll find his name out later, but this is Alfie Allen.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, cute dog, and he's like, oh man, this is a sick ride. He tries to start talking about it, and
he's like, what is it, 70? He's like 69.
Yeah. Right, and then he starts kind of he's like, well, how much? Right, and John Wick just says, oh, he just casually talks about it. It's like, yeah, it's not for sale.
Not for sale. And then he starts speaking Russian. Like, and this whole time, he's petting the dog.
Yes.
Right. John Wick has gotten back in his car, and Alfie Allen is sort of leaning in the window and petting the dog, and he starts speaking Russian, and he says, "Everything has its price, bitch."
What he doesn't know is that
John Wick speaks Russian.
Strange dude, John Wick knows Russian and speaks Russian.
Mm-hmm. And so,
he just responds back very calmly and coolly. Not this bitch.
Yep, not this bitch.
Yosef, we all know his name yet, but it's Yosef. He looks at him. He's like, looks like he wants to start a fight with him.
Yeah.
Which just seems like a bad idea when you look at the two of them side by side.
Yeah, even not knowing that this is John Wick. Just looking at the two of them. Does not seem like a good idea at all.
We'll find out later that he's kind of this little punk ass bitch.
Mm-hmm.
He's this little spoiled brat of a Russian mobster.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Spoiled brat of a son of a Russian mobster.
Yes. So that's when the other guy comes out, and that is Victor.
Yeah,
played by
Victor comes up.
Toby Leonard Moore.
Yeah,
who is plays James Wesley in the Netflix Daredevil series from back in 2015.
Yes,
the original run of it.
So he sees what's going on, and he goes and
he's like,
pulls Yosef away, and he's like, "I'm sorry, sir.
Which
have a nice day."
It's funny because in this scene, he seems like one that is kind of rational.
Yeah.
And
but
calm.
later, he does not seem rational at all.
He does not. But he comes, as we'll find out soon, no. He's not. But I think he realizes they don't have the upper hand or the element of surprise right now.
Yeah.
So that's why he kind of backs off of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, so he apologizes to John Wick. Not knowing that that's John Wick, just thinking it's just some dude with a cool car and a dog.
Yeah,
and apologizes him, sends him on his way, gets Yosef back in the Escalade.
John Wick goes home, and then they I don't know if we really get a whole lot of scenes here, but ends up going to bed. Mm-hmm. We see him kind of go to bed.
And then we see these masked people break in the house while John Wick is sleeping.
Yes. And then, he kind of wakes up. I think he hears
the dog. I think the dog starts barking and he wakes up.
Yeah.
And so he goes down
to check on it. And they attack him, right? They're masked.
With a baseball
bat.
They knock him down onto the floor, and they're just beating him with the bat and kicking him, and the dog keeps on barking. And
says one of them yells, "Shut that dog up!" And so Yosef is, I think, goes and breaks the dog's neck essentially.
Yeah.
And so then, they kind of continue to kick and beat, John. They finally, one of the, Yosef takes off his mask. Right, and says something to him, and they kind of punch him out, right, and they knock him out.
Then they proceed to steal his car.
Yep, and so he wakes up. It's short while later, and they've placed the dog next to him.
And so when he wakes up, first thing he sees is his puppy that they killed.
Yes.
The last gift from his wife.
The thing that was going to allow him to carry on.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he's crushed. He's got to do something about this. So he's like, okay. So he's going to get in his car. So he goes to his garage. And the Mustang is gone.
The Mustang's gone. And he's got an SUV in there, too. And it's got a baseball bat stuck in the windshield.
Yeah. It's a 2006 Lexus RX is the SUV that he has. And it's just got a baseball bat. I'm guessing the one that they used to beat him with, right? It's just basically, inserted straight through the center of the windshield. It's just sticking out, and then it's shattered in the center. And
so he's still wearing the clothes that he was wearing. He's still wearing the shirt with the blood on it from when he got beat.
Yeah, he's bloodied, and so he ends up burying Daisy.
Yeah, he buries Daisy, and then he goes to his buddy's auto shop. It cuts
we get before that, though. We actually see his buddy's auto shop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it cuts to Joseph and his group, and they take John Wick's car to the shop, and the shop is run by John Leguizamo. Aurelio,
yes.
And so they get the car in there, and Aurelio sees the car.
Right away, he sees the '69 Mustang. He's like,
"Where did you get this car?"
You can see on his face, like, "Oh, please tell me this is not John's car."
Yeah. So he's like, "Where did you get this car?" And then Joseph, he's telling me, "I want new plates. I want new VIN. Make this car clean." And so Aurelio punches him because he knows whose car he took.
Right. He's like, I was like, oh, because he was just like, oh, no, you got to take this car. We own you. He's like, no, you don't own me.
Yeah.
Right. He's like, and then he says, and that's when, he punches him, and then they put a gun up to his face. His head's like,
and he grabs it and puts it right up against his forehead.
It's like, oh, pull a gun in my shop.
You pull a gun on me in my shop. Get this thing out of here.
And then, Victor just comes and he kind of tries to defuse things a little bit again. It's like, Vigo's not going to like this.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's like, you tell Vigo.
Yeah, you tell Vigo.
Because Vigo's going to know. I'm going to tell Vigo whose car this is.
Yeah. And so
he gets
a phone call. And it's Vigo.
He's like, I heard you punched my son.
Yes, Vigo, played by Michael Nyqvist. And it's
it's whose car he stole. Yeah. He stole John Wick's car.
And I love all Vigo does, oh. Vigo knows that there's nothing that can be done. His son is going to die.
You can tell, you know what? I did not raise him well. But the third of them, who we don't see as often in the movie, is Grigori.
Yes,
is the third guy.
Yeah,
I should say. So, John Wick, right? He
gets on a bus and he goes to the shop. He's still wearing the bloody shirt, isn't he?
Well,
or did he change?
So even before he gets on the bus, after he sees that, he makes a phone call also to Aurelio.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at nighttime. And you can tell Aurelio is now awaiting this phone call.
No, because he shows up to the shop and he asks him in person, is it here?
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, so he goes to the shop.
Thank you.
Aurelio's waiting for him because he knows John's on his way.
That's what Wheeler's just waiting for him. He's drinking. You can tell it's nighttime. It's night. It's well after closing for him, and he's just waiting for John to show up.
He's got a bottle of whiskey next to him and a couple of glasses, and he's just waiting for John to show up. And so he does, and John's like, "Is it here?" And Aurelio tells him, "Well, it was." And he's like, "Who took it? Like, who has it?" And so he told him, Yosef Tarasov.
He's like, Vigo's son?
Like, yeah.
And,
and so he
just nods his head.
He pours John a drink. And John's like, I need a car. So Aurelio gives him a car.
I love he just gives him a car.
Yeah.
He just gives John Wick a car. And he's John Wick.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So John Wick goes home. And, we have a scene now back with Vigo.
Yes, back with Vigo and Yosef.
And then you also have kind of Vigo's like consigliere, his counsel.
Yeah. Dean Winters. And, they live up like in this penthouse in Manhattan. And Yosef, he's coming, he's getting out of this car, and we find out that the three of them had gone down to Atlantic City to take care of some business. Mm-hmm.
And so that's why they were driving back, passing John Wick up back to Manhattan. Yeah. Right. And
so Yosef comes up to Vigo's. He's like in a bar up there. He's like in his own personal bar lounge office, kind of thing.
So, yeah. And he pours himself a drink, and he pours Yosef a drink, and he gives it to Yosef, and then he punches
Yosef in the gut hard enough for him to puke. So he punches Yosef in the gut. Yosef doubles over, pukes on the floor. He's on his knees.
Yosef thinks his dad thinks they messed up the job in Atlantic City. He's like, no one saw us.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not why I'm pissed.
That's not why I'm pissed.
I'm pissed about the car that you stole. It's like, some loser and his dog. It's not what you stole. It's who you stole it from. And that's when he says some losers, like, that loser helped build the foundation of our family.
Yeah.
And he goes into this story about Baba Yaga.
Yes, Baba Yaga. John Wick, also aka Baba Yaga, is
what
the man that used. So when the boogeyman, because he tells a story, he tells a story about Baba Yaga, about the boogeyman, and how he grew up with his parents telling him this story to scare the children and all that, and to basically scare him straight, and then he goes into John Wick,
like Kaiser Soze.
Yeah. So then he goes into explaining that John Wick is the guy you hire to kill the boogeyman.
He's the man you hire to kill the fucking boogeyman. It's like,
and then he tells him
John wanted to get out because he found a woman, of course.
Yeah.
So I gave him an impossible task. And he completed this impossible task.
And the bodies that he buried that night laid the foundations of our business, of our family's business.
I would love to see that movie.
Yes. I would love to see that movie.
So, yeah, essentially, we know now fully that John Wick is, he's a man of focus and determination that does not stop. right?
Meanwhile, this whole, like, while he's talking about this, it's cutting back and forth between their discussion, their conversation, and John Wick back at home.
Yes, so he's going back in his basement.
He's in his basement,
right?
and he's got a sledgehammer, and he's just bashing the floor, the concrete floor.
And then we see finally gets through enough of it, right? Because it's thick. And there's this huge ass case.
And he opens it up, and there's guns in it, and there's gold coins.
Some gold coins. Right? So he's getting it all ready. He's counting it. He's getting out the guns.
Not just any gun. That's an H&KP 30.
Yeah, that's right. So we get this understanding now that, okay, John Wick is a former assassin that has got out of that world. Right? And then, Yosef then tells his dad, oh, I can take care of this. He's like, no, you can't.
No, you can't.
I will protect you the best I can and try to take care of this. But no,
you can't.
If you try to, he will kill you.
So
we get a call now, and he decides he's gonna Vigo's gonna
try to cut it off of the pass. He's gonna call John Wick.
Go into this he's got a safe, right? He finds his little contact book. Flips it. I don't know, does he go to J or does he go to W?
Probably W, because he's probably in there as Wick, John.
And John, he gets a call. He's down in his basement. He gets the ring, and and Vigo tries to level with him, and it's like, he's just basically, he's just a boy.
Mm-hmm. He made a mistake, and please forgive him.
And John just hangs up.
Yep. Doesn't say a word, just hangs up.
And so then Vigo goes to Avi and says, like, how long will it take to assemble a team?
Yeah. And the next thing we know, there are people once again breaking into John Wick's house.
Yes.
But this time he's ready for them.
And there's more of them.
Yes, and there's more of them.
There's not nearly enough of them.
Yeah. Not nearly. So then we have an awesome scene, just a totally badass scene.
It's badass. It's dark. It's blue tinted, and yeah.
You just see John Wick just in his element.
Excuse me. I mean, come on. He's ready for them. They're on his turf. He's angry right now.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't stand a chance.
He just takes them down one by one.
Yes.
Just without breaking a sweat.
He throws some of them off his second floor balcony, landing down there. Starts shooting them, throwing knives at them. Breaks one's neck as he's on the little kitchen counter. And his head's just kind of hanging over, and so he just snaps his neck over it. Right? And he finally, he shoots off the last guy, and he looks out his little front foyer area,
and there's
some lights,
red and blue lights outside, and there's the silhouette of a police officer outside the door, because the door is sort of like frosted glass. Oh,
by the way, the music is also just phenomenal.
Yes. Oh, yes. The musical.
I love how
the music in this movie is just phenomenal.
They have a nice instrumental kind of leading up to it, right? It's a good score. And then it just leads in, then it just goes all out. And yeah, it just, the music is so well choreographed with the action.
Yeah.
So anyway, and it dies down. And then he knows this police officer, Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy. You see, he opens the door. He's like, "Evening, Jimmy." And then Jimmy,
"Evening, John."
Like, "Evening, John." And then Jimmy kind of looks around John and sees a dead body on the floor. And he just
he's like,
hey,
are you working again?
Are you working again? Yeah. And John's like, no, just sorting some things out. It's like, okay.
You have a good night.
You have a good night, John. Good night, Jimmy.
So, the question is, there's a lot of theories about Jimmy, which maybe we'll get into Jimmy's theories in John Wick 2, because Jimmy does show up in John Wick 2.
Yeah, Jimmy's played by Thomas Sadowski.
So I was good. I'm glad you had him up, because that was the next thing I was going to look for. Was who played Jimmy? But you already have it, so perfect. What else was he in?
He was in The Newsroom.
Oh, that's right.
Of The Newsroom.
I did see that when I was looking through earlier.
John Wick Chapter 2, like you said. He was in 8 episodes of The Slap. You remember that show?
No. I remember I remember Slapsgiving.
No, the Slap, when Zachary Quinto slapped a kid, and they based a whole show about it, like around it.
What? They based the show off of this?
They based an entire show off of Zachary Quinto slapping a kid. It didn't last long.
I wonder why. I don't know what you can get out of that. Alrighty then.
He was in 3 episodes of Law and Order SVU. Ugly Betty.
Anyhow, so then we get John. He goes back to the basement. He makes a phone call because he needs to make dinner reservations for 12.
Yes, he needs to make dinner reservations for 12. He calls Charlie. David Patrick Kelly.
He's David Patrick Kelly. He was, in the Warriors and Commando. I want to say, I think 48 Hours also was another one of his movies.
He makes a dinner reservation for 12.
David Kelly.
And there just happened to be 12 people that broke into his house.
They pull up in a van. It's a cleaning services van.
Yes.
And there's like about 3 other guys.
The cleaning services van or a waste management van?
Waste management.
Yes, it's a waste management van.
And they show up, a few of them have squeegees and spray bottles, and so they just start spraying down the windows.
They're spraying on the window. They're taking all the dead bodies in the house. They're like wrapping up in plastic.
They're shampooing the carpet, right? Making everything right, and and then they just
load everything up in the vans, throw the bodies in the back of the van.
John gives them a dozen gold coins.
Yeah, so he gives them so these gold coins that were in the case with the guns, he gives them 12 of them, one for each body.
And so we kind of get to realize at this point that this seems like there's some type of secret currency.
Yeah.
Right. That can be traded amongst certain people as a form of payment. That's, very under the table.
Which they never, like in any of these movies, they never explain what, like, how much one of these coins is worth in their world.
They actually don't really,
because you have cases like this where he gives Charlie 1 coin for each body that they cleaned up, right? But then in John Wick 2, which this isn't really going to spoil anything for John Wick 2, so I'll go ahead and mention it. He uses it to buy a drink. So,
right? Yes. Like, I know in John Wick 2, he gives it for other situations, which could make sense given the value or the number that he gives.
I mean, obviously they're not like a monetary value that they're, being traded for. It's the value of, whatever the favor is that's happening. But yeah, I mean, it's just, there's such a stark contrast between cleaning up bodies or buying a drink.
Hey, it might be like, you go to a concert and you get a Miller Lite and it's like $20. Maybe it's where he's buying the drink from.
True.
I do think throughout the series, the coins is probably one of the least developed parts of the universe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a very interesting concept, though.
Oh, yes. I love it. It's terrific. And I love this other aspects that we do see later, especially in John Wick 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, bodies get cleaned up. And then we see he calls this hotel called the Continental. He makes a literal
reservation at the Continental. So he gets in the car that Aurelio gave him, his loaner car, and drives to New York. And the Continental is a Flatiron building.
Flatiron building. I love it.
I love it too.
Who knew the Flatiron building is a hotel for assassins?
Yeah. So he walks in, and there's Lance Reddick at the front desk. The concierge, Sharon.
And he's very happy to see John Wick. He's like, it's been a long time. He's like,
hello,
John Wick
Mr.
looks like, and John looks around. He's like, oh, have you redone the place? I'd love the look. And he's like, yeah, about 4.5 years ago. Right. So we have actually a time frame about how long he's been out. We know he's been out of this world
for at least
4.5 years.
Yeah.
So he gets a room. He gets his room, gets his key, and
when he walks into the room,
Sharon, he asks Sharon first, like, "Oh, is we still the same management, right?" He's like, "Yes, right."
Mm-hmm.
And so, as he's walking towards his room, he walks by this chick.
Yeah,
who kind of smiles at him.
Who's played by Adrienne Palicki, Miss Perkins.
Yes, Miss Perkins. Right? So, already getting vibes from her. Right? Yeah. And so he goes up to his room.
And when he walks into his room, then Christopher Walken is in there with a bottle of champagne.
Oh, goodness.
The Continental. Champagne is not champagne, unless it comes from the province of Champagne.
You just gave me an idea of I want to open a hotel called the Continental.
Mm-hmm.
And I just clone Christopher Walken.
Yep.
And he greets each guest.
So
just like that.
At the Continental, do they have a continental breakfast?
I don't think so.
So Christopher Walken's not in his room.
we get a scene back with Vigo. Right? So first actually and Marcus. We actually get Marcus first, right? And Marcus is in his brownstone somewhere in Manhattan. Mm-hmm. He's juicing because he
not like shooting up with steroids. He's actually making juice. he's got his juicer out and he's putting carrots in there. He's making carrot juice.
So John Wick eats bran cereal for breakfast.
Marcus
drinks carrot juice for breakfast.
Yes.
If you were the dog, which would you rather, the bran cereal with milk or the carrot juice?
I don't know. Probably the bran cereal with milk.
Yes.
So I don't know how dogs feel about carrot juice.
I don't know if I'd want. I like carrots. I don't know. I want to drink it as juice.
I don't like carrot juice. I love carrots, but I don't like carrot juice.
Yeah, I don't think I want. So I'll just go with the bran cereal with the milk. Because I know at least afterwards I'm gonna have a good poop.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have a good poop with the carrot juice too. But I don't know. There's a certain psychological thing about the bran.
Yeah.
Or with the carrot juice.
Yeah. Anyway, so Vigo is talking to Marcus, and he's asking him. He's telling him that he's going to put a bounty on John Wick's head.
A contract
over
$2 million
on John Wick.
He wants, but Marcus kind of wants an exclusive on it, and
well, he asks him if it's exclusive.
That's what he does. That's right. And he doesn't say that.
He says no, it's not exclusive. And so then that's after he says it's not exclusive. That's when Marcus accepts it.
Right.
That's when he accepts the offer.
And then, Marcus then asks, he's at the Continental, right? And so that's when we kind of find out that, the Continental has rules that you can't conduct business
on the Continental grounds.
And so
basically,
Vigo offers him double if he kills him on the grounds.
Yeah.
Which, granted, given what we've seen the rest of the movie, that's really, really, really dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to be willing to disappear after you do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, Marcus accepts. And so Vigo leaves, and then we see Marcus, he's still in his bathrobe too, right?
Yeah.
And he goes in, he's got his little cupboard that's under his steps, right? He opens that up. He's got a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
He's got other guns under there, and right, he lays it all out on his piano. And he just starts getting ready for this job.
Starts getting ready for the job, to go after John Wick.
So
and
we get back.
Then we get back to
the Continental,
right? And John Wick is meeting with the manager.
Yeah, he goes down to like the maybe it's the lobby level, maybe it's the floor below there, and he goes down to this little kind of secret bar area.
Mm-hmm.
A little like lounge. I shouldn't say bar, but
it's like
a lounge.
So he's meeting with the manager, played by Ian McShane.
I love Ian McShane. I know we talked about this earlier, but I love Ian McShane.
Yeah. Ian McShane is fantastic in anything he's in.
And they're talking, and you can tell that they have been friendly before. And that they respect each other.
Yeah.
Right? But, John Wick, he means business, and he wants to know where Joseph is. And he knows that, Ian McShane or
Winston
definitely probably has information about his whereabouts.
Yes.
And Winston just tries to settle him down. He's like, well, you can't conduct business here. You know this.
And John he's not saying that he's going to conduct business on the Continental grounds.
No, he's not.
He's just wanting information so that he can leave the Continental grounds and go find Joseph.
And I do think, Winston, to a certain degree, is concerned about John getting too deep back into that world.
Yeah. because he clearly cares about John.
Yes.
And he knows John, he knows what he went through to get out.
Right. And he knows, like, once you get back up into this dirt and this grime, it's hard to get back again. Hard to get out of it again. Right? It's just going to suck you down, essentially. So he tells him, go get a drink. Enjoy the night. Right? And so John goes up to the bar. And the bar, he knows the bartender, and she's excited to see him because it's been 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he says. Like, it's been 5 years since he got out.
Yeah.
It's been 5 years since. So she's obviously been a bartender here for that 5 years, and she knows John really well. And so she pours him a drink.
Played by Bridget Reagan.
So she pours him a drink and then puts it on a little cocktail napkin and pushes it towards him. Right? And sorry, excuse me. And he picks it up and he sees that on the napkin is written Le Cercle Rouge. Mm-hmm. And he recognizes the name as a club that's guess apparently owned by Vigo.
Yep.
And he turns around and he sees Winston, and Winston has his martini glass up and toasts it to John, and John books it out of there. Right? So he goes to Le Cercle Rouge, which is a reference to the French movie Le Cercle Rouge.
Oh, really? This club has the same name?
It has the same name.
So,
and we can tell already that they're expecting that John Wick might show up.
Yeah. So Yosef is in the pool because there's this club is weird. It has like bathhouse style pools.
Yeah, it's like Russian.
It's like
yes. So it's like a regular like North American nightclub with dance floors and cocktail tables where the bottle service.
Like people are
got the Russian
raving.
Style.
People are in a rave. While just in the floor above them, people are in like Russians are in a bathhouse.
And, they're just kind of chilling like Russians would do in a bathhouse.
Yeah. It's like so, Yosef has his guards watching out for John. Watching for if he shows up. And he does. He shows up.
Yeah, he shows up, and he bypasses the main entrance where all the people are trying to go in for the club part.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's this little small entrance there, right? Which is where you have what was the actor's name I was talking about? The wrestler.
Yeah, Kevin Nash.
Yes, thank you. So he just kind of comes up behind him quietly out of the shadows, right? And he's like, "Why don't you take the night off?" It's like it's good to see you back, John. Good night.
Meanwhile, Kevin Nash is like 3 times Keanu Reeves' size. Yeah, he knows who John Wick is. So if John Wick tells you to take the night off, you take the night off. So yeah, so he goes in and Victor is in the bathroom. And John goes into the bathroom. And Victor sees him.
Well, Victor's he's trying to floss.
Yes, he's trying to floss. And John sort of sneaks up behind him. I don't know why he's flossing in that bathroom.
I don't know.
Seems like the kind of thing you would probably do in your home bathroom.
He's got a towel around him.
Yeah.
Right? And you got the baths like behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a little like pocket flosser and he's just trying to floss.
Yep.
What was he eating? Like I would get it if he just ate everything bagel in one of the pools.
He was just in the pool, and there are a bunch of Russians in there, and Russians tend to be hairy. So maybe he just got like some stray hairs in his mouth when he was in the water.
He dove into Julianne Moore's bush.
Maybe.
I mean, Julianne Moore's not in this movie.
Whatever the case, maybe he just needed to get some hair out of his teeth.
This is the last time he does it because, like, yeah, John Wick, comes up from behind him and kind of kicks him in the leg and then stabs him.
Mm-hmm.
And then now this is when you see he's like this hothead.
Yeah.
he's angry. He's cursing at him. He's like, it is just a dog, right? And there's water in the sink, and so John dispatches him by drowning him in the tub and the sink.
Drowning him in the sink. And by the way, we didn't mention this when Vigo was talking to Yosef before, that he was telling him a story about how John Wick once killed a man with a pencil.
Yes.
A fucking pencil.
A fucking pencil. I was once in a bar, so I killed 3 men with a pencil.
3 men with a pencil.
A fucking pencil. And you just see him slowly dispatching these people, in the locker area of this bathhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Before he then shows up in the pool, and he starts shooting at the pool, and they're like, "There's these ladies in there. He's not going to hurt the ladies.
No, he lets them
they
go.
Did nothing to his dog.
He's just going after
he
Yosef.
Absolves them. Yosef.
If all of Yosef's bodyguards weren't attacking him, then he probably would have left them alone too.
They probably would have. This is giant bearded guy.
Yes.
Kirill. He smashes. He gets rid of him quickly.
Yeah.
He just shoots him several times in the chest. He just drops back dead into one of the pools, and then this is when Yosef just has a towel around him,
mm-hmm.
right? And he's just holding this towel around him with a gun as he goes up onto the club floor. Right, and the club, it's raving.
Yeah,
right.
And John's chasing him through there, and Yosef's goons are coming after.
Which I think the music here is great. It's La Castlevania is the name of this song, right? So anyway, he's going through, and in some ways, this is kind of like the scene in Collateral.
Yes, very much like the scene in Collateral.
Right, so he's killing some people as he's going after Yosef, and then the lead security guy is yeah, he's here, and he's gonna get on. He's gonna try to take care of John Wick. And
what's crazy is he's just blatantly killing people right in front of everybody that's dancing, and everybody's just still partying. They're all still just dancing, and does this kind of thing happen often here? Does this kind of thing happen often in this club?
It's owned by Russians. It's very possible. It's the best I can come up with. So
anyway,
yeah, they escape to other areas, and he just keeps on shooting people. He keeps on killing them. I know I can find the name of one of those other guys. I love it. I'm on the Cinemorgue website and looking at the male deaths in the movie. The list is still incomplete. There's a lot of death in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, so yeah, the one body, this one bodyguard.
Whoa, we missed something.
15.
We missed something because before this whole club thing, we have John Wick in his room back at the Continental, and he gets a visit. Because
from who?
Anyway, so first of all, let's go ahead and finish the club, then we'll jump back.
Okay.
So he's going around killing all these people in the club.
And so he does get that visit first. You're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're trying to kill him, and they're not succeeding, but he is succeeding. And Yosef's able to make it out back and get in the car and drive off. Well,
yes.
What we had forgotten to mention before was John Wick, before all this, that first night in the Continental in his hotel room. He's sleeping, and we see Miss Perkins sort of sneaking around outside his room, and we see Marcus go up onto the roof of the building across the street.
Right.
And he pulls his rifle out, and he's looking through the scope, and he puts the crosshairs on John Wick while he's sleeping. Just puts the crosshairs right on his head. And then we see in the background, Miss Perkins comes into the room. And so then we see Marcus sort of shift his aim slightly over to the side and shoots a hole in John's pillow. Right next to his head. So that wakes John up. And he realizes he's getting shot at, so he, jumps out of bed and gets ready. And so then he sees Miss Perkins. And so they have a little fight. She tries to kill him.
He wins.
He wins.
He doesn't kill her.
He takes her down. He doesn't kill her. But he does tie her up with the phone cord. And, he's tying her up in the hall, where the guy in the next room over...
Well, he gets a phone call first from...
Yes, from the
desk.
front desk. From Sharon at the front desk.
He's like, we've been getting calls from your floor about a disturbance. So everything's fine, and he's like, will you be needing a reservation?
Yes, will you be needing a reservation?
Like, no, that's not needed yet.
Yes.
And then she tries to get out in the hall,
and then he goes out there and he takes her down, and that's when he ties her up with the phone cord. And then Harry, the guy in the room next door, hears the commotion and comes out, and he's got a gun and sees John.
Hey, John.
He's like, hey, John. Hey, Harry.
Like,
you want to earn a coin?
Want to earn a coin? Poor Harry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he enlists Harry to keep an eye on Miss Perkins. So Harry takes her into his room, and she's tied up on the floor, and he's sort of just sitting on the bed, just keep an eye on her.
Yep.
And she gets loose. And then
he's talking to her. Yeah. He's monologuing too much.
Yeah, he's monologuing way too much
about how she shouldn't conduct business on continental grounds, and how they don't like that.
Yeah, and meanwhile,
she
breaks her thumb so she can slip out of her bindings, and then she knocks Harry down onto the bed, puts a pillow over his head, and puts her gun against it, and pulls the trigger. And shoots him in the head through the pillow to muffle the noise.
Doesn't that? I think that happens. I thought that happens after all of this.
Yeah, I think that happens after the club. Yeah.
Okay. Good, right. Okay. Oh, that's right. But the other scene with the cross.
Yeah, the other scene with the initial the scene between Harry and Miss Perkins is after the club, but everything else is before the club.
Okay, you're right. Good. Okay. And so, but when John gets back from the club, right? And he gets shot and kind of stabbed in the whole melee. He comes in, and he's bleeding, and the clerk looks at him,
goes to Sharon, and he tells him he needs a doctor.
Like, is the doctor in? It's like, yeah. So he's always on, right? Mm-hmm. And then so he's going he goes back up to his room. He starts walking to his room. It's like, what about the cleaner? He looks at him. He's like, no one's that good.
Yeah.
So he's up in his room, and then the doctor is tending to him.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, is
Randall Duck Kim,
who's the Keymaster.
Yes, the Keymaster in Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions.
And so he stitches him up, and John asks him, like, well, what else can you do for me, especially if I still need mobility? Right. And so he gives him some pills that he said, the stitches will probably still pop, but you won't have as much pain. And,
he'll have full functionality.
Right. And so he asked him, oh, do you need anything for the pain? It's like, oh, no, I think that I had that covered. And he has a bottle of Blanton's that he's drinking to help with the pain.
Yeah.
So what we forgot to mention is that he got information from Perkins. Yes,
he did.
About Vigo keeps a lot of his money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at an Orthodox church.
Yes.
So she tells him where it is. And he goes there. He's on the roof.
Yes,
and he's scoping it out, right? It's daytime now. It's the next day. And he goes in. And, you get the whole full scope over. There's a few people kind of, there's like an old lady and like some other youngish middle-aged guys kind of praying in the pews.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And this priest kind of comes up because, he recognizes John Wick, and he's trying to approach him kind of like he's just a priest. Right?
Yep.
John just shoots him.
Yeah, John just shoots him. And then goes down to the vault.
The other guys in there are kind of like, obviously, work for Vigo, and he kills them.
Mm-hmm.
Then picks him up and takes him down to the vault.
Yeah, there's a vault in the basement of this church.
And then the priest, he's just looking at him. He's like, yeah, he'll kill me. You know that, right? And John just looks at him. He's like, open the vault.
Open the vault. So he opens the vault. And
there's
John,
these ladies there. They're back there. They're counting money. He lets them go.
Yes, he walks in there. He lets them go. And then he just burns everything.
He burns it all. Right? And so we get back here, because I think I had the actor's name for the priest.
Monroe Bonnell.
Yeah, Monroe Bonnell. Delivery woman. Oh, the delivery woman that delivered Daisy. Her name was Camila Wright.
Yes, Camila Wright.
She wanted her pen back because she knows what John Wick can do with a pencil.
Mm-hmm.
She saw that name. She was scared.
Yep.
So John goes back to his lookout, and Vigo shows up with some of his guys, and he sees them kill.
Yes, he sees them kill the priest.
And even before that, Abby talking to him before that, he's just talking to Abby. He's like, what was in there, right? It was more than just money. It's all the leverage I had on everybody in this city.
Yeah.
Right? It's all those blackmail in there, right? Which is why he's really pissed.
Yeah.
And that's when John shows up again, and he starts shooting at him.
He starts shooting at him, causes him to crash the SUV that Vigo is in, and then he's got Vigo at gunpoint.
Yes.
And Vigo's pleading for his life. And all John wants to know is where Yosef is. And Vigo knows what'll happen if he tells John, and he knows what'll happen if he doesn't tell John. So he tells him. He reluctantly tells him.
Take the head off of him. So he reluctantly tells him. And then does he blow up the car? Yeah, he blows up the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to blow up the car. No, he does. Does he?
I don't remember if he blows the car or
I don't
not.
think he does. Anyway.
But he lets Vigo live because Vigo...
For now.
Yeah, for now. So Vigo agreed to drop the contract, and he told him where Yosef is. And so Yosef is in a safe house.
Yep. His other buddy is there playing video games.
Mm-hmm. And then he's got some sentries out, walking around.
And they're still out there. They're still ready to protect
guarding
Yosef.
And then, so John's out there with a sniper rifle.
Yep.
And he starts
taking out the sentries and the guards. And then the other guy, he's playing his first-person shooter.
And he takes him out.
And, well, at first, he takes him out. So he's just playing there. He's got his headphones on. He's listening to it. And Yosef's upset with him. He's freaking out.
Yeah.
He's he's really scared. He's scared for his life.
Yeah.
And they get a shot where basically, the bullet goes through the headphone and through his head.
Yep.
And that's when Joseph gets scared, and he starts scrambling and kills the guards inside there. And he runs off.
Goes out to run, and John is waiting for him. And John shoots him. Just quick shot to the heart. Nice.
But when does John get captured? I feel like we're missing a scene.
I think that was after he killed. Because I think that was, he got captured after he killed Yosef because Vigo wanted revenge.
No, so that's what happens. So that's right. No, so it's at the church. After the church, they actually capture John. Then they have John. They're about to suffocate John, and Vigo is just it's like saying, hey, listen, like, no, like, we're both damned in this life.
Oh, yeah, that's right. This was
and
before.
like, you think you can get out, we're dirty. You're not going to get out of this. And we're not going to get the whole.
Yeah, so they've got John tied to a chair.
He leaves him, and and so he's got and he's they got a bag over his head.
Vigo leaves the room. The other guys put a bag over John's head, and then Marcus is outside with his rifle, with his sniper rifle.
This is a hell of a shot.
Yeah, and he takes out the guy that's trying to kill John. Just headshot.
And so the other guy that's there, like, he backs up away because, like, he's startled, right? And these windows, I mean, there's paper over these, there's how he pulled this shot off, because there's a small amount of light coming through here. So it's a hell of a shot. Anyway, so John kills the other guy, right? Mm-hmm. And he goes off and he chases after.
And this is when he chases after Vigo.
Yeah, Vigo.
And gets him to drop the contract and
gives it up.
Yeah, gets him to drop the contract and give up.
Because it's after that he kills Yosef that he ends up meeting Marcus.
Yes. So after John kills Yosef, then we have a scene back at Marcus's house where Vigo is there and he realizes why Marcus took the contract.
Yes.
Because Marcus and John are old buddies.
Yes. Well, and Miss Perkins, like, she's escaped from the Continental, right? Mm-hmm. And she followed them and saw the two of them meeting after this. So, yeah, he understands, like, okay, yeah, the old buddies. And he's helping out his buddy.
Mm-hmm. He took the contract so that he could get John's back.
So, yeah, Marcus is coming back up to his house, and it's when
Vigo's waiting for him.
The Russians kind of the waiting for him, and, like, as he gets there, Avi's there, and they walk up to his house, and then we get a phone call to John Wick, and you can tell, like, at this point we're kind of cutting back and forth kind of between time right now, because as Vigo is talking to John, you can tell he's already killed Marcus. We kind of seen the in between, filling in the gaps where
basically Vigo beat Marcus to death.
Yeah. So Vigo, at this point, Marcus is like, why are you here? What are you doing? And then he sees Perkins, and he realizes that he's been caught. Mm-hmm. Right. And he's like, no, you took off the contract. He's like, no, but you had every opportunity to kill him. And so as he's talking to John, he's like, I appreciate that you gave my son the quick death. Right. Because I can't give that to Marcus. And so we get the full scene from here about why he is so angry with Marcus over this. Because, he felt like he had no other choice to have his son die. Right. Yep. But it's like, if it happened for Marcus, like, I probably still could have done it. Marcus had done his job.
Yeah. If Marcus had actually taken that shot when John was sleeping, then Yosef would still be alive.
Or allowed him to be suffocated. So he's going to make him suffer. And he's got brass knuckles. He puts his fist in a bowl of ice. And he stabs him in the thigh with a knife. And he's crying out in pain. And then I got to say that Miss Perkins, you love to hate her.
Yeah.
She's not likable. She's a bitch.
Yeah.
And you keep waiting for her to get her due. And she's relishing this happening to Marcus for no reason other than that she's kind of sadistic herself.
Yeah.
And so, Vigo says, well, you're going to go out on my terms. And that's finally when, Marcus is like, no, I go out on my own. So he gets up and he kind of tackles a few of the guys. He kind of gets out of restraints, grabs his gun. He's able to kill like two of them before Perkins shoots him.
Yep.
And he dies. And so Vigo, though, ends up calling John. John, he's heading off. He's done his thing. He thinks he's safe. He's heading out of the city. But now they killed Marcus. Yes. And now he's pissed about this.
Yes. So now he's going after Vigo.
But he's got to find Vigo first.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes back to the Continental. Well, first he goes back to Marcus's place, and he sees Marcus dead there on the floor. So he goes back to Continental. Or he gets to go back to the Continental. He gets a call from Winston.
Yeah.
And when he's like, I shouldn't tell you this, but I'm just going to say that there's someone waiting for a certain helicopter on a certain helipad.
Yes.
Right.
Now, real quick, before we forgot another little detail. So after everything went on in John's hotel room, in his room at the Continental, the Continental decided to compensate him for the trauma, for the hullabaloo that went on in his room.
Because we see him check out. That's right. And, they asked him, we hope you enjoyed your stay.
And so here's a little gift, compliments of the management. This is for the trouble you had to put up with. And there's a brand new Dodge Charger waiting outside.
Nice black Dodge Charger. Mm-hmm. He's happy.
Yeah.
So that's what he's driving.
Yeah, that's what he's driving now.
In when he gets a call from Winston about where to go. So he ends up going. It's basically like the stock area that has a helipad.
Yeah.
Right. And so
the whole movie, anytime that they get into a scrape somewhere, Avi always asks for a gun, but nobody ever gives him a gun. He's constantly asking for a gun in this movie.
He's about to get one.
And so, they're driving a helicopter, and all of a sudden they get rammed by a Charger. And so there's a little car chase fight kind of thing going on, shooting at each other. And this time, Avi keeps on saying, "Give me a gun, give me a gun, give me a gun."
When it finally comes down to the last 2 or 3 guys, Vigo finally gives him a gun.
Mm-hmm. And Avi gets out of the car and promptly gets killed. Finally gets his gun, but doesn't get to use it.
No. He gets dispatched quickly. He gets hit by the car. He gets shot. Meanwhile, Perkins gets a call, and it's Sharon saying that management wants to speak with her.
Yep.
Right? And so they meet at this location, and it's very Roman-esque. It's got these Romanesque columns.
This is not on the Continental grounds.
So you can tell where that's going.
So
she walks like in the middle of it, and then you hear Winston's voice, like, "Miss Perkins." Oh, these 4 guys walk out. That's right, behind the columns, right? And you hear, "Miss Perkins," and then it's Winston. It's like, your membership and privileges to the Continental have been revoked by thine own hand.
Yes, by
thine own hand.
You're
excommunicado. And then he says good night. He walks away, and they all just raise their guns and they blow her head off. And as he's walking away, Charlie walks up with his crew.
Yes, Charlie walks up with his crew.
Winston gives him some coins. I think it multiple coins here because there's multiple of them for one body, and I think they took this one very personally.
Yes.
So,
and I mean, granted, there may be more than one body because the 4 guys that shot her are all standing across from each other. Shooting forward. So there's a good chance that at least one of them got hit.
I love how she just casually collapses to the ground.
Yep.
And her head's still intact. She'll probably have exploded.
They shot her in the torso.
Anyway, so we get down to the last of it. It's just Vigo and John. And it's raining now. It's a good rain. So they get to it, and finally they get to a knife fight.
Yeah.
And John has finally allowed Vigo to actually stab him in the belly so he can break his arm. And then finally, you get John, he's able to stab him like up there in the jugular, kind of right there at the neck and the shoulder. And Vigo dies right there in the rain.
Yep. And then John kind of stumbles over to the SUV, and we get that opening shot from the movie. SUV rolls into the loading dock. John stumbles out, pulls out his phone, and then sort of collapses. And then we see him get back up. And he gets up, and part of this dock area is an animal shelter.
Yes.
And it's a kill shelter. So he goes in there looking for some painkillers and stuff like that, and sees this pit bull in a cage with a clipboard on it that says it is scheduled to be euthanized.
So John takes the dog.
So John opens up the cage.
He's still looking for that dog to be that companion.
Mm-hmm. And,
I think it's appropriate that's a dog that's going to be euthanized, right? Because he's kind of left out to be euthanized.
Yes.
They've got a kinship.
Mm-hmm. So the dog follows him out, and they go walking back, I would say into the sunset, but it's nighttime.
It's nighttime, but they're walking by. It's like by the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yes,
which is we've seen this image of him and Helen, multiple times throughout the movie, and so it's like this appropriate reminder of that relationship, kind of continuing on.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to bring up too because I was looking. I saw this earlier. I was looking for it again, and I found it. So like there's a line that Vigo says to John before they try to have him. Well, so this is going back to when he's tied up, right? And he's like, you just could have stayed out. It was just a dog, right? And that's when John gives him the reasoning behind the dog. It's like, it's when he says, like, it was like 3 days after my wife was buried, when I felt like I had no one else, right? She gave me this dog as this thing of hope, as a sign of love, this love, right? Because before that, this is what Vigo says to John. It's like, you had your wife, I had my son. Believe me, you had a far better deal. And you left, and the way you got out, lying to yourself that the past held no sway over the future. But in the end, a lot of us are rewarded for our misdeeds. Which is why God took your wife and unleashed you upon me, right? And this will be a theme later that comes throughout the series, is that John is still kind of punished. It's very much like the Patriot, right? Yeah. I was getting these Patriot vibes, right? At the beginning of the Patriot, like, I have long feared that my sins would come back to visit me. And the cost is more than I can bear,
Yeah.
right? And for like John, it's Helen, and it's Daisy, and it's Marcus.
Yeah.
Right. It's weighing heavily. So, but then that's another thing I forgot to bring up is that John responds to that. It's like, yeah, people keep asking me if I'm back. And, up until now, I haven't really had an answer.
But you know what? Yeah, I think I'm back.
And that's when they try to kill him. They try to suffocate him.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't suffocate John Wick.
No. No.
John Wick suffocates you.
Yes. In Mother Russia, John Wick suffocates you.
This needed some Enor goons in this movie. I don't know. Yeah. She gave me a concussion. Anyway. Yeah. So John Wick is back.
John Wick is back.
But we get back to the end of the movie, and he's hoping that, maybe he doesn't have to be back.
Yeah.
He's walking back off. He has his dog. He has those memories of Helen.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to go home where he hopes to be at peace.
Yep.
But will he be at peace?
I don't know. We'll find out next time when we discuss John Wick Chapter 2. No.
But is there anything else you want to say about John Wick 1? Or just John Wick?
Well, I mean, as we mentioned before, the music in this movie is phenomenal.
Yeah. I know we mentioned it a few times, but we didn't go into deeply enough, and it'll be throughout the other movies about the music, but it's perfect.
I mean, this movie is, when it came out, it was truly it was a new style of action movie.
It really was.
And it'll be interesting to see what the next defining action movie is. Because like we were saying before, you got Die Hard, then everything was Die Hard on a whatever. Then you had Taken, and everything was Taken in a whatever. Now it's John Wick. And John Wick on whatever. What's the next one going to be?
Right. No. And it'd be interesting to see where it goes because, it was also kind of released at the time that Marvel was still at its peak.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of comic book stuff in general. So then you had this little darker, grittier version within John Wick. And I think, especially now that we're getting a little bit further out of like the COVID era, but still into a large streaming era, it'd be interesting to see kind of where action movies go from here. And I mean, John Wick carried the torch nicely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, just the John Wick movies, I mean, they flesh out this world so much more in each installment.
And that's the thing about it, too. Is like you don't get that with many action movies.
No, you don't.
Or any action movie for that matter.
Yeah,
but many series. And they build off each other.
This entire world of assassins.
Right.
This secret underground world of assassins.
And their code of ethic,
mm-hmm.
right? So think about as what we talked about through this. You had the coins, you got the Continental. Can't do business on grounds at the Continental.
The next movie, the next movie's introduce a marker.
The high table yet?
No, the high table doesn't come around till John Wick 2.
I didn't think so. Yeah. So we'll get a few more like the high table and the marker. And I mean, at this point, you're just kind of seeing, okay, you got this chop shop, right? So you got some illegal guy, you got a guy doing illegal stuff there.
Yeah.
Which you can just think of, okay, so guys from various different organized crime units would go to him. You obviously think, okay, there's probably got Italian people and other criminal organizations running around. But you're just kind of thinking of this general organized crime. But we're going to get something much deeper.
Yeah. Just the rabbit hole just keeps going deeper and deeper.
It keeps getting, And meanwhile,
and there's still, 4 movies in, there's still plenty more that they can reveal about this world.
Yes, absolutely. There's so much.
But so that's John Wick.
And, and we're going to talk a lot more about it. We can get into the other aspects we might have forgotten about, and then we'll just go deeper into the mythology, as we go on with this series.
Yeah. So with all
I will say too, before we kind of sign off, is that it seems like it's one of those last movies that could really be kind of a big, true, like sleeper type cult hit.
Yes.
I feel like it's harder and harder to find some that kind of come up like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be few, they might get more now, I think, just because of the current climate of movies where people just are starting to fall off a little bit and wait for streaming.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like one of those last kind of cult hits that kind of got missed.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Anyway, so if you would like to follow us on social media, then check us out on Facebook and Instagram and Threads. We are Rob and Tony's Cinematic Adventure. The and is spelled out, A-N-D. It's not an ampersand like it is in the podcast. We're also on X or Twitter. It is R&T Cinematic. And if you want to check out some of our reviews on various movies, some we've done on the podcast, some we haven't done, some we will do, some we won't do, and check out our Letterboxd. It is Cine Adventure or Cine Adventure, C-I-N-E Adventure. And you can also just send us an email. What did you think of John Wick? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think that we should do all 4 movies in a row rather than doing 2 of them and then doing the other 2 later? What do you think? But anyway, our email address is robandtonycinematicadventure@gmail.com. Once again, the and is spelled out. It's not an ampersand like it is in the name of the podcast. But yeah, just send us an email. We want to hear from you. If you enjoy what you're hearing, then go to our social media pages. Give us a like and a follow. Go to your favorite podcasting app, wherever you're listening to us. Give us a good rating, a good review. That's how we move up in the standings and the search and the recommendations, all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, we want to hear from you. We want to be able to bring you things that you want to listen to. You know, we want to be able to talk about movies that you want to hear us talk about. And yeah, so as mentioned several times throughout this episode, the next movie that we're going to be doing is going to be John Wick Chapter 2. We're continuing with this John Wick series.
I mean, it's really hard to separate the 2.
It really is.
Or separate the 4, as we've said.
Yeah.
But that's why we're going to go to the next one, and then we'll give you a little bit of a break before we get back into the last 2.
Yep. So join us next time for John Wick Chapter 2.